Is Pete Hegseth going to jail? Is Admiral Bradley going to jail? All because of these double taps. Those are the questions you guys have. And realistically speaking, at this very moment, it seems like everyone is kind of pointing at Admiral Bradley. Donald Trump, the press secretary, and Pete Hegseth all saying, oh, he has our support, we believe in him, and blah, blah, blah. So first of all, what is a double tap? Double tap essentially is when you strike a target. Usually there's people there who are either defenseless or maybe emergency services are in there trying to, whether it's stop a fire or maybe get medical attention, and then you attack them again. So a double tap. You tapped once, waited a little bit, those people came in, then tap again. We realistically only see this in war zones. Most recently, Russia does this almost every month in Ukraine, but essentially Russia waits until emergency services are there and then they hit it again. When it comes to this instance towards Venezuela in the Caribbean, according to the reports, that ship was hit on orders from Pete Hegseth, who saw it live but didn't see the second one. And then Bradley went ahead and hit it, actually, according to a new report, up to 4 times in total. The grand question you have to know is whether or not they saw that these people were on the boat and knew that they were defenseless, or were they strikes that were just kind of all going all at once? But the big one is, were they still a threat? If they did not pose a threat, then yeah, that's a war crime. But let's say that maybe they were on the other side of the boat and somehow still had something. They were firing at something. If you did have proof that these people did have some way of threatening the United States, or maybe the sailors or something, then yeah, you could hit that again. The bottom line of who gave that final order, who instructed people to give that order, the bottom line is what they did here, if those people were truly on a shipwreck, was illegal. Regardless of it being a double tap or what, the U.S. manual when it comes to shipwrecks pretty much state that if a ship is already going down, there's no reason to strike it again because you already took out the threat. We are going to see an extensive investigation into this. Admiral Bradley will be speaking in front of Congress, and we'll see what information comes out. I mean, ultimately, it seems like they're going to try to make Bradley take the fall for this. But that is kind of dangerous because now you're going to have an entire military now kind of questioning orders on whether or not to do something, which could put a lot of things into danger for regular U.S. citizens. But let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section below. I'll be sure to keep you updated, so please do share my videos and follow me for more. I can't stop laughing because it just hit me now. I'm looking at the press conference, and after today's meeting, I'm realizing that when the U.S. representatives walked away, the Russians kind of showed their hands, saying that they were kind of scared of Ukraine. And they didn't say it in that sense, but if you go back to the press conference, the Russian representative stated that the U.S. representatives were going to go back to Washington, that they made a promise not to go to Ukraine. And that like as itself doesn't seem odd, but when you start thinking, it's because they know the stuff that they told to the U.S. representatives is total BS, and they don't want to be checked with real facts. So they really want the U.S. representatives to go straight back to Trump to tell them all the great things they talked about instead of actually being educated about the real things that's actually truly happening. Like every time that Steve Witkoff goes home, he always has some kind of wrong information because either the Russians manipulate him or they have a translator that's a Kremlin translator, which he's not supposed to do. And for the Russians to say that they promised to go back to Washington almost seems like that Putin said to them, now, please make a pinky promise. Do not talk to Ukraine. Just go back to Trump and tell him exactly everything we said here. Which tells me Putin is scared that Ukraine would then tell Trump or Witkoff what exactly is actually truly happening. And then that would stop that 5 hours, even though those 5 hours, a whole conversation plus Putin being late 3 hours, it didn't mean anything considering that there's been no change. There's no compromise. Russia does not want to compromise at all. But yeah, it just made me laugh thinking that the Russians had to make a pinky promise to not go to Ukraine with this information. Yeah. Let me know what you think about this. I find it extremely fascinating. We are hearing from the Russians, who straight up just said, no compromise. That's where we're at this very moment. No compromise. But let's go ahead and actually break down what their own press release said. Russian officials said that the meeting had lasted 5 hours in order for them to really give both sides a chance to thoroughly discuss, quote, what they call a long-term settlement for the crisis in Ukraine. They described these conversations as useful, constructive, and informative. But here's the important part. Several versions of the Ukrainian peace plan were on the table. They said several. Russia says they actually received 5 different documents, including, they said it was a 27-point plan, not a 28-point plan, but still, it's probably the same proposal. They didn't discuss the exact wording of the documents, and speaking to reporters, they actually didn't even give anyone the key points that they were talking about, just that they were talking about them in general. The important thing of this meeting is the results, in which the Russian says there's still no compromise. They say that some American ideas do work for Russia's, others do not. The biggest thing, the whole territorial thing. Russia, they still want to have land given to them first, and then they can discuss a ceasefire, something which is the exact opposite of what Europe and Ukraine wants. I also need to add that Putin had used this meeting to tell the United States that Europe, well, they're being really destructive when it comes to peace talks. He is clearly angry that Europe is now kind of getting ready to do preemptive strikes or just countering Russian strikes before they happen. But one noticeable moment we need to talk about, which is the fact that, yes, they brought up the future economic cooperation between the United States and Russia, essentially saying that there are a lot of back-channeling talks about this cooperation, which is something that we kind of knew for quite some time. It only became public about a week and a half ago, and now Russia's just straight up recognizing it, saying, yeah, well, we are working on things on the back end. What does this mean moving forward? Well, after this meeting, it seems like we're not further apart from finally getting to some kind of peace, but we didn't get closer. We know that U.S. officials are going to be going back to the United States to tell Trump how things went. Russia is going to mull over some of the points that the U.S. made, and maybe sometime down the line there could be some kind of potential Trump-Putin meeting, but even they said that all of that meeting depends on the progress of peace. So yeah, really nothing happened during this meeting, and I need to add, it definitely was a spit in the face of the United States for Putin to show up 3 hours late. But clearly he's angry with Europe right now, and I guess kind of wanted to set the tone of the meeting before he got in. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. I'll be sure to keep you updated, so please do share my videos and follow me for more.